This is a pretty intense best of 3 that we have here. The situation is really, really dramatic as only one player will advance. It might be Genius, it might be Seed. We have our third PvP in a row to the top right.
I am Seed.
Starts I am Seed. And yeah, he's really, really calm about it. He's just making all the right decisions. So he made them on Daybreak, that is, and he's up against his opponent. Starting to the bottom left, we have in our PvP the blue Protoss player. It is
MVP Genius.
a very intense best of 3, very close. And guys, once again, there are some special offers if you don't have a ticket for Codex just yet. If you have some friends or family members who didn't watch the GSL in the past, that's now is the chance to get one of the passes. Just check out GOMTV.net/ticket. There are some special offers for you, and you should definitely recommend it to your friends if they don't watch GSL already.
Absolutely, man. It's just, it's such a great experience to have the VODs to show your friends and, you know, even your family, you know. I know a lot of you out there, especially some of our younger viewers, probably still live with your parents and, you know, they wonder, you know, what are you doing? You're like staying up all night watching this game and, you know, you just want to share it with them and say, look, Mom, it's actually really cool. People get paid a lot of money to play video games, and if you have the VODs, you can just show your mom, you can show your grandma, you can show your dog. I wouldn't recommend showing your dog. Dogs prefer first-person shooter games, but
they do?
Yeah,
I know that cats actually like RTS
yeah,
games.
cats like RTS games. They're really smart, but dogs, they're really.
Are you implying that
shooter.
dogs are dumb?
No. I just think cats are really smart because they like.
You know
RTS
that your
games.
nickname is Wolf, and I actually have 2 dogs, so be careful.
You have 2 dogs? I didn't know that.
Well, not in Korea. But well, we can definitely be sure that those Protoss players don't have any pets. At least I would assume so.
Speaking of which, I made a tweet the other day. I didn't get any real replies. What happened to Beyond's puppy? Does anyone know? Has anyone seen him recently? I'm kind of curious what became of Beyond's puppy. He may still live. He may now live in the Prime House. I don't know. Now we do have a very similar build coming out for both these players. Again, Seed getting his second gas a little bit later than Genius.
What do you expect on Cloud Kingdom in the PvP? I have to admit that I haven't had too many Protoss versus Protoss matches on this map.
Blink is quite strong here. If you want to do a build like a Blink Stalker Expand, you can do that quite easily here because there's so many different points to blink in that if your opponent tries to move out to attack you with Colossi, for example, you can backstab him. Otherwise, straight up Colossus builds are good. Expansion builds are not very good on this map. I don't think we'll see that. Phoenix builds can be quite good. We do see Seed. I think Seed is going to do the same build we saw him do before, where he just goes straight up Colossi. And based on this Twilight Council timing, it looks like Genius wants to do a Blink Stalker Observer Expand build. He could do an all-in as well, but I don't think we're going to see that. Not 2 games in a row.
We could also see DTs, which is something that we see when Oz was playing Hero at the Fnatic tournament. A pretty insane match, so this is another option. But at this point, we have now, well, Seed's poking a little bit here, trying to get a bit aggressive. 2 Stalkers and 1 Zealot against 2 Stalkers and a Zealot.
Sometimes
just
people, I was just going to say, sometimes people just run into the main and scout with that even if they lose their units, but he decides not to. And it is going to be Blink Stalkers. Will he add a Robo, though, or will he go for the very same all-in we saw? Oh, looks like he's made his choice. He's going to do a Blink Stalker all-in here.
Yes.
With the Robo timing for Seed, I don't think this is going to work. All he has to do is sit back and defend. Oh, okay, there's the Robo for Genius. Just wanted to add his Gateway first. Very weird order of building things, but I think we're going to see a lot of Blink Stalker backstabs. This if you've never seen this build before that we're going to see from Genius, it's actually really cool to watch. It's something you should try to... Oh, hold that thought. We're having really nice micro by both players, but Genius having the better Stalker count now will chase him away. If you're a Protoss versus Protoss player and you hate going Colossi, or you don't really like the kind of builds that you're doing right now, try the build that Genius is doing now. Watch this VOD, study it a little bit, and see exactly how it's executed, because it's so good to expand in this way and catch your opponent off guard with blinks into the main. It's a fun way to play. Genius hasn't made a Nexus, though, and I'm like watching this again, and I'm like, maybe he's just going to do the exact same thing he did last time with an Observer and just attack into his opponent. But with the Immortals out, I think we may have a very similar result here.
It's going to be definitely a problem for him to defend against this. We have the first Immortals building for Seed, and this could well go exactly the same way that it did on the last map.
This is so weird. This is like a build that I guess probably has a lot more success for reasons I fully don't understand at this moment in time. The Twilight Council going down now. As he sees his opponent's Twilight Council, he wants to have a counter blink very quickly. This is so interesting by Genius. His Stalker count is going to be much better than his opponent's, but with those Immortals in the mix, what's he going to do if he blinks into the side? He doesn't have enough units to flank, really, and with Force Fields, he won't really be able to do that. And if he blinks into the front, I mean, that's going to be like the saddest thing Genius has ever seen. He just saw, when he blinked away, he saw his Code S medallion flash before his eyes. He's like, I guess maybe I'm not going to be in Code S. Okay, so now he's going to put the Nexus down a little bit late, though, because even though it's really good to do backstabs with this many Immortals out and the blink timing here, what's going to happen is Seed now has gone up to 4 gateways. He's not going to make any more Immortals. He's going to start building Stalkers, and he's going to have a really nice attack timing with all of his Stalkers and his Immortals, and even if his opponent tries to go for a base trade or a blink in, it's going to be really hard to execute. In fact, Seed may even try to force a Nexus now. It's a tough position to be in for Genius, but this is the build I'm talking about. He's going to try to do backstabs if his opponent ever moves out.
At this point, if he blinks up the ramp, then he might definitely just run into a trap. If he is in a situation where the Zealots can engage and the Immortals do their damage, he might lose way too many of these Stalkers before he's able to retreat. So at this point, he has to be very, very careful. The expansion is halfway done. Blink is nearly completed, though, for Seed now.
Yep, and once he has his own blink, he can be a lot more aggressive. That Depot's gonna die. There's no SCVs on this map. There's no way to stop that Depot from dying. But yeah, the Stalker count now is 17 to 12, and 12, of course, is Seed Stalkers. With the Nexus spending that Genius just used, he doesn't have the Stalker advantage he used to, and now he's no longer in a position to backstab. He could lose a lot of units here. Seed blinks forward. He's gonna try to pick out some Stalkers.
Picks up the Sentry as well. Guardian Shield to that.
Gets the Observer. Now that he's got the Observer, no more backstabs. This is the scariest moment for Genius. He's going to have to desperately warp in units here because he has basically one chance to defend. Oh, and Seed's not going to attack.
Is he going to spot the pylon? He's trying to run past the edge, and he's just outside of the range of the pylon, and now he spots it.
This is kind of weird if he doesn't attack. Okay, so he is going to attack. He's going to split his units up just to make sure no Stalkers are literally going to walk into his main. Now, if he goes for this attack, it's going to be really hard for Genius to defend. He's trying to get his Immortals out, and there's a Nexus going up for Seed now, but it's really behind.
He just now built the pylon, so he will be supply block for quite a while.
That's very important to note. Seed is just giving Genius all sorts of time here. Now, Genius has 2 base economy, and he's chrono boosting out his Immortals. If he wasn't supply blocked, he would have had a second one out right now. This timing is so critical. He's going to have to go around the side. He can't attack.
Robotics Bay coming up, and expansion for Seed now, attacking and trying to get another base while he's getting into position to punish. He needs to pressure.
Yeah, he needs to trade well here. Oh, a nice blink by Genius. Seed needs to trade well here because he has a Nexus going up at home. He's teching. He's just going to go home. Now, he can be okay here if his opponent doesn't start taking up the Colossi too. This is such a weird game.
It's really weird, but especially now with Seed just kind of relying on the fact that his opponent is not taking as well. The army size is comparable, so we have basically the same amount of Stalkers and also of Immortals. Both of them just moving out now in the middle of the map. Most of the positioning is going on at this point, but you can also already see that we have nearly the same amount of units. Genius is a little bit ahead in this match. He also has a higher probe count thanks to his 2 bases and is saturating 2 mineral lines. But the expansion is now ready for Seed as well.
Yep, we've moved into the Colossus phase of this game, and so Genius is going to have his Colossi later, but his economy was a little bit better, so he may be able to catch up in Colossi if he makes a second Robo faster because he has a little bit more mining since he's ahead of his opponent in that regard, but he spent a lot of resources on units that aren't going to be that important in the battle, so we have a fairly even game now, but we do see Genius adding that second robotics I was talking about just a little bit faster. Forge going down for Seed, and I swear, man, every time I watch Seed play on this map, something like this happens, where like both players make Colossi, he gets the Forge first, even though his Colossus count is behind.
The situation is a little bit similar to what we've seen on the first map on Ohana.
Yeah, exactly.
He was pressuring him, taking the expansion earlier, adding the robotics earlier as well, so at this point he will once again be ahead in his Colossi count. We have the Observer speed upgrade now for Genius.
Yeah, that's really interesting. that he's getting that. But since he just killed his opponent's Observer, he's going to feel pretty comfortable against as far as his Colossus count goes, because it's possible Genius has DTs, and he has to make another Observer, so he loses time on his Robo. As you can see on the production tab, he had to make another Observer.
Do you think he misclicked here?
What do you mean? On the Observer speed? I don't think so. I think he wants to have it to be very map aware.
But we don't have extended thermal lens.
He'll probably start it immediately afterwards. He's building his Colossus count first. The Observer speed is a cheaper upgrade, and he really needs to see whether his opponent is trying to tech up to a mothership or is trying to take a third base. Having that Observer speed is going to be useful in a lot of different ways. Because the Colossus count is important as well, he wants to make sure he can keep his Observer alive and make as few Observers as possible. He wants to get the most out of the Observers he has. So I can understand in a few ways, because if he got range first, it wouldn't really be that significant because he's so ahead in army at this moment that his opponent couldn't really take advantage of having range first. And it's a weird choice, but I kind of get it. And now it's going to be one advantage he has over Seed.
Charge is being upgraded as well at this point. He has already 10 Zealots.
At this point in the game, to go for charge very rarely works. We've seen it a few times. It all comes down to a nice flank, though. If you don't get that flank, if you don't get some sort of weird advantage over your opponent, it doesn't work. Oh, this is really bad for Seed, who's already in trouble, and his Stalkers are blinked away. This gives Genius the opportunity to push, but he's not going to use it. He's a little bit nervous here.
We have exactly the same Colossus count at this point, but I don't think that he started the range upgrade just yet, so he will have the better range and position with his units, and there it is once again. So Seed with the range upgrade, but Genius still not starting his upgrade.
Yeah, that's really weird that he hasn't started it now.
I'm actually worried that he might have misclicked here.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. It's a crazy misclick to make, because usually when you get Colossus range, you check it every now and then to see when it's done. And you should have, unless he's extremely nervous, which is uncharacteristic of Genius, he's going to notice fairly soon. I have to say.
Do you know the hotkeys?
The hotkey is E for the Colossus range, and Observer speed is B. So if he press,
not that close.
Yeah, it's weird.
Maybe he has custom hotkeys.
Yeah, he probably does have custom hotkeys. He might have changed it to Q, for example, because B is in an odd place, and Q is close to E, something like that, or W, for example. But W is for Warp Gate, so I doubt that was the one he chose. But
still, it really looks like he just thought that he researched the right upgrade, and he probably won't notice before the first engagement, and then it might already be too late.
Yeah, this has happened to so many programmers. Hongen versus Jinro comes to mind from an open season, where if you literally do forget and you don't know, games are decided by this upgrade. That's going to be something that's really good for Seed, who is so behind and still is arguably behind in this game because of the tech choice he's gone for. Now he should notice with that Colossus swipe that something is not right here.
Yeah, he should have realized it by now. We have a third base now for Genius as well, but he still does not research the upgrade. He has the resources.
This is so important. The range upgrade is worth 2 Colossi alone in this type of situation, because it's going to be so many extra lasers fired before the engagement actually occurs. As far as upgrades go, Genius is getting +2. His opponent's already on +2, getting +1 armor, which is kind of weird. +3 would have been a much better choice, but he probably just can't afford it just yet. He wants to get the cheaper upgrade.
Tried to blink in, do some pressure, but had to retreat. Archons once again being added for Seed, which is exactly what he did on Ohana. The transition into Archons in the late game. 12 to 17 Stalkers. The count for the Colossi is 6 to 9 in favor of Genius, and there it is.
The range making such a difference, especially with these Zealots here. Genius is in trouble.
Oh my god, the Zealots
trying to Look at that range. The Stalker's blinking in as well. Immortal's closing the distance.
Oh, this is really, really bad for Genius at this point, but he's doing a lot of damage nonetheless. He has the higher Colossus count.
His upgrades are better.
And his Colossus count is way better, and he's able to capitalize on it. He's taking down Colossus after Colossus.
Bad
Seed is losing so much here.
Seed with a terrible move on his pathing there. He's going to lose all of these Colossi, slowly but surely. This Warpin may buy him time, but you're right, 111 supply to 89.
Took such a lead now in the supply count. He's going now for the +3 attack upgrade already. Warping in additional units. He can put on pressure if he wants. He still did not realize what was happening with his upgrades. 5 to 3, the Colossus count still in his favor.
Yeah, and you know, he's actually starting to get into Archons himself.
He's taking a huge lead here in supply.
Yeah, he's had his expansion up for longer, and just with those 2 Colossi, it feels safer. He's going to do a little bit of harassment here. It's not too significant. Note that even though he was ahead in Colossus count, Seed's about to be ahead in Colossus count again, and remember that range upgrade still persists. But I don't think, if Genius goes now, Seed probably won't be able to hold his 3rd base, and that may just spiral things out of control. As you can see, +2, I believe, now being researched for Seed. So yeah, I thought he already had +2, but it turns out, no, I was wrong.
We have +2 attack for Genius, not for Seed just yet. Genius is already getting the +3 attack upgrade, while Seed is trying to get even in the Colossus count, but here comes Genius, trying to put some pressure onto his opponent. This might be enough to take down the incredible Miracle player.
It's all going to come down to the positioning here, especially because Seed is about to have that Colossus lead with range. Oh, he's abandoning his 3rd base. This may allow Genius to get into critical position.
And here we go, engaging once again, taking down his opponent's Archons, immediately focusing on the Zealots now, annihilating every single one of them, and Seed is plummeting down his supply. He's below 100 right now against 140, and the positioning for Seed is awful. He's losing another Colossus, trying to make good on his superior range with the Colossi.
Yeah, he's trying to use that. Genius is dancing actually at this point, and Seed going to be dancing a little bit as well here, but the game is over.
The game is over, and he knows it. This is one cool way to say well played.
Well, Genius and his extremely enthusiastic fangirl are very happy because he will be advancing to Code S as predicted by most people. He was, of course, the finalist last season.
It looked close, though.
It looked extremely close. And his build orders in those last 2 games were identical and very weird, but he was able to just pull things off. He scared his opponent so much. He was so aggressive.
And this, well, Genius was very, very worried after the 2nd game. You could already see that he was really concerned and sitting in his booth and just trying to get his mind preempted, get the mindset set for the 3rd game. He pulled it off in the end. Did well here and advances.
Well played by both players. Actually, all 4 players in our group look strong today.
Yeah.
Pung Pung, he looked the weakest, but he got caught with his pants down a few times. It wasn't really indicative of his skill. I mean, you guys have seen him in the Team League. By the way, if you haven't seen him in the Team League, if you haven't watched the VODs of Team League, or if you never watched it before, the yearly pass is on sale right now until the finals at Vegas, so take advantage of this opportunity, as well as the $5 off ticket that everyone has gotten in their email.
And we have 2 Team League matches this weekend, and it's going to be amazing. We have MVP against StarTale and FXO against the Prime team. And those matches are going to be insane. The semifinals are coming up here at the GSTL. And of course, we also have a few more matches in Code S this week.
Yep, we
Starting
do.
tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow. We'll have Group D tomorrow. Don't be confused. Because of MLG, we had some scheduling redone. So we have Group B today, and Group D will be tomorrow. So consider those as well. Now, here are our group results. You can see who goes where in Code A as well. Seed will be in the round of 32, skipping the first round, and Boom Boom, since he got 4th place, will be in that danger day of Code A, where if he loses his match, he'll be completely out of the GSL. So consider all of these things. And Supernova, man, he looked so strong today. Watch out for this guy in Code S.
Oh, yes, he did. He played amazing against Genius and Seed. Genius gave him a little bit of trouble.
Indeed, he did. But here are tomorrow's games. It's going to be Group D. Gumiho, Maru, who should be exciting to watch. Hero and Curious, another stacked group.
This is going to be such an impressive group. It's going to be really, really awesome. I love to see more games from Hero. Maru, the 14-year-old Terran player, 14 Prime. He played so well recently. It's going to be interesting to see if he is able to follow up on it. And of course, Gumiho, very strong Terran player. Curious has been around for ages, Zerg player for the StarTale team, and this is just an intense group tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Gumiho and Curious are probably the favorites, but don't count Hero out. And Maru, man, he almost took out Nada in his Code A, and he looked really strong in his up and down groups as well. He's known as the king of all-ins here, but he can actually play a macro game as well. So all of those players tomorrow should show us interesting games.
Yeah, Maru is a very versatile player, and he is just... He's so young. He has such a bright future in front of him. I actually kind of envy him here. If he really stays on the ball, then he should be able to surprise quite a lot of us. He just made his huge splash and is now participating in Code S. It's going to be very interesting to see if he's able to get out of the group tomorrow. It's going to be such a clutch group.
Yeah, it really will be so interesting to see how things fall tomorrow. Curious, you know, the emotionless killer. We've got Maru, the young star, Hero, the fan favorite, and of course Gumiho, the guy who just always does well. He consistently plays well, but never gets a lot of recognition for it. We'll see who gets out, man. It should be really, really exciting. Like you mentioned earlier, we have our Team League semifinals on Saturday and Sunday, and one of which will be at the Lauda Ice Rink. And also consider that even though we're casting tomorrow Group D, the rest of the week, Wednesday and Thursday, Tastosis will be back casting Groups A and C. And then finally, on Friday, we have Off the Record with Pult as our guest. So we have a stacked week, 7 days a week this week. We've got content for you guys.
Exactly, it's going to be really, really awesome. StarCraft II all week long, and it's going to be great, especially with Pult. I'm really looking forward to the off-the-record show on Friday.
Yeah, it should be really awesome. Pult is a really interesting guy. He showed some great performance in MLG this past week.
He's been traveling like crazy the last few weeks, so definitely a lot to talk about.
Yeah, definitely a lot to talk about. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. You can follow GOMTV on Twitter at GOMTV. You can also go to Facebook and follow, or add or like whatever it is on Facebook, Global GOMTV. And of course, last but not least, Caldor on Twitter is just simply Caldor, and I am Proxy Wolf. So we'll see you guys tomorrow for Group D, and have a great night.